Hey everybody, welcome to the Gapology Guys podcast, your resource for leadership development tips grounded in principles shared in our books Gapology, IMBAR, and Speed of Purpose. And we are very excited to kick off our 10th season of our podcast and our second season of video-based content on YouTube. And we have a lot of wonderful topics planned for this new year, and we look forward to continuing to help you achieve your greatest potential. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the show rolling. Hey Mark, how you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I haven't seen you this year.
I know. It's crazy. We have taken this little hiatus. We always do this every year just to spend time with family and so forth. But I just got some communication from our publisher. The new updated version of our book, revised version, is selling really well, actually, the 15th anniversary edition.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so congratulations to you on that.
Impacting leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I'm excited to hear feedback. So if any of our viewers out there have picked that up and started reading that, let us know what you think. We're pretty excited about it. We've expanded it and added some new content and try to tie it for today's world. So we're excited about
I
that.
did hear from the one national chain that's in the process of teaching it right now. And they said it is going incredibly well, and that's all anybody talks about.
Well, that's good. That's great to
Yeah.
hear. But I'm excited to jump in. Brand new season. This is actually officially our 10th season of doing this.
What?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
I thought it was the 11th.
The first one was sort of a practice round, I think. But we thought that this would be a good topic for kicking off the new season, sort of kind of going back to the beginning a bit, talking about our a little bit of our history and our initial conversations that we had with winning leaders and teams and so forth, and talking about what really made them winning leaders. So our topic tonight is what were the top 10 traits that winning leaders exhibited. So we're going to go through that today. So we're excited about that. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, well, we spent a lot of time observing the behavior of winning leaders. So we would go to the places where the results were off the charts and observe the behavior. And in that, we found these top 10. 10 wasn't a number we came up with. There happened to be 10 of them. And the other thing that's significant here is at the same time, we traveled to places where the results were poor and observed the behavior of the leaders there. And these 10 were missing from their behavior. So we quickly concluded that these 10 were the key. And you can literally have all 10 of them.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
do them all.
Right. And I think the interesting thing too about this is when you examine the list as a whole and you think about, are these things that are sort of innate traits that people just have, or are they skills that can be learned and taught and
Right.
grown over time? So they absolutely can be something that's taught and grown. So I think anybody can get a lot out of this podcast and what we're going to share today.
Yeah, so we want everybody to have all 10, and we believe all 10 are important. We did not number them on purpose because if we said number one, number two, there would be an implied hierarchy. There is not a hierarchy. You need all 10 of them, and you need to work towards it, and you literally can. They're all doable, and they are of great significance. So we're proud to walk you through them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think they can stand independently, but I think a lot of them do connect in certain ways. So when you develop a skill in one area, I think it does help develop a skill in another area. So
Yeah.
as we go through that, think about where you are sitting today as far as your skill development level in that particular area, and think about how you might be able to grow that.
That's a
So,
great point. You could even score yourself 0 to 10 on each one of these and work towards that.
right.
These are for those of you that have the new 15th anniversary edition of Gapology. These are on page 27. And anyhow,
Sounds good. Do
they're
you want
right
to
there for you.
kick it off?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, no order. We chose it that way. You need all of them. And these are clearly present in the top performers. And you can have them all. So the first one, and again, not in order, we just listed them, is we found that the winning leaders had an eternal curiosity. So we weren't expecting this. It was like, wow. And then it made so much sense. It was pretty obvious. They tended to lead with questions when they were with their team. So they weren't telling them things, they were asking questions. They listened more than they spoke as part of their eternal curiosity, and they observed behavior. They spent a lot of time observing the behavior, and through that they were learning. So eternal curiosity to a winning leader meant that they're always learning, and that was significant. So we wouldn't have written this one down, but there it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this is that curious mindset that they had was it wasn't just curious about one thing. They were curious about many things. And they conducted these what we call gap analysis today. So when you have a result, they ask the questions around why. Why am I, achieving these particular results, these metrics? And that led them to ask the question, what are the behaviors that are missing or in place that are producing those metrics? And so this curiosity was sort of just kind of something that they use in different areas of the business.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the day that I caught an airplane and flew to the top producing location in the thousand stores we operated, and they didn't know I was coming. I walked in the door as a customer and just spent the first half an hour observing the behavior of the team, and I quickly understood why they were the top performing, location, and that allowed us to bring that to other locations or all locations. So it was by accident, my curiosity
Mhm.
paid off big time.
Yeah. You were the original undercover boss.
I gather, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's quite interesting
Yeah.
what you see when you simply zip your lips and observe behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't
So
you didn't have to put on a fake mustache and
no, no.
glasses or anything.
The thing is, I bet most of the winning leaders, most of the leaders that are listening to us right now, don't haven't thought of this one.
Yeah.
It's not on their list, and it's huge.
Hmm.
So anyhow, we challenge you on this one. We got 10 of them to get through, so we better roll. But this
Okay.
one's big. The next one is setting clear expectations. And that really is the foundation of Gapology. Um, what we found that, again, wasn't obvious was that the team knew the expectations. So we went to when we observed the winning leaders and then observed their team and then interacted with them, their team knew the expectations. And we had so much fun. One day, Brian handed the leader an index card and the subordinate an index card and said, write down what the boss expects, and what you expect of the team. And we matched them up. And then we started doing that in meetings. Do you remember the numbers?
I don't remember the numbers. It was an
87 to
87.
14.
Yeah,
So the
87. Yeah.
winning leaders, the top performers, had an 87% match rate on the expectations with their team. And the bottom performing group had a 14% match rate. So we quickly knew that setting clear expectations was absolutely key to achieving great results. So try that index card for you and your team. Don't let them know it's coming, and see how you stack up. We were humbled many times over when we did the exercise by seeing how far off we were. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the key words there is clear. So setting the clear expectations. Is it super clear to the team? Are you intentional about delivering it repeating it, reinforcing it? Is it something that's part of your meetings, your one-on-one conversations that you have with your
Yeah,
team?
yeah, it should be something talked about all the time.
Yeah,
And don't set an ambiguous expectation.
right. As
If
specific as
the
you can.
expectation is 95 on a given KPI, the team should know that, and they should know the behaviors that equal the 95,
Yeah. Yeah,
making up the number.
to that point, when you're doing the index card exercise, look for that specific response, that number that you're setting as the expectation. Don't let them share sort of an ambiguous number, and then give them credit for that. If they're not clear on that actual specific metric, then you shouldn't get the point for it, really.
Yeah, yeah. One of our early clients that totally exploded on Gapology, it was wonderful. When we walked in the door, they had 45 KPIs.
Hmm.
So we locked the door, and the leaders couldn't leave the room until we'd narrowed that to the top five. And then we taught the team the top five, and business exploded. 45 KPIs does not work. Five might work. Three is a good number, you know, but the team has to know it, and they can't know 45.
Yeah,
It's not going to happen.
no,
It's not going to happen. You can't create accountability around 45.
exactly.
So five's sort of our magic number, but we like three as well, and
Hmm.
they have to be clear. That's the
Yep,
bottom line.
yep, yep. When you have too many expectations, there's no expectations.
Oh, write that down. That T-shirt time.
Okay. We need some new ones for this year.
That's a good one. We don't have that one up on the wall.
I don't
I
know. We
love
don't.
that. You got it?
I got it.
All right. The next one is we found that the winning leaders reject mediocrity. The bottom performing, lower performing leaders accept mediocrity. So rejecting mediocrity is key. Mediocrity is the enemy of great. If you accept mediocrity, you have lowered the bar for everyone. You've said it's okay. So rejecting mediocrity was, it may sound simple, but it is certainly out there, and it's something that you need to think about. So mediocrity again is the enemy of greatness, and it will keep you from achieving great results.
Yeah. I like what you said there about the underperformers love mediocrity. It's like they love to live in that where,
Yeah, I just
you,
said they accept it,
yeah.
which what I'm saying is they turn their head.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. They love
They
that
don't call
because
it out.
they're
They
not
don't
held
call it out.
accountable to anything. Yeah.
They don't try and change it. The
Right.
winning leaders reject it and help the team overcome it. Mediocrity is not good.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
That one was easy.
That was easy. What's next?
Uh, ex- we found that the winning leaders accepted responsibility. They owned it. When the result wasn't what it should be, they owned it, and they figured out how to overcome it. Um, they just accepted responsibility. Period. It when there was they didn't blame. So we found often that the bottom group, the lower performing group, would tend to blame and make excuses for poor performance. It's not my fault. Here's why it's poor. The winning leaders didn't do that. They said, we got it. Thank you for pointing it out. We got it. We'll have it completed by tomorrow. Whatever. They owned it, and accepting responsibility is one of the keys to being a winning leader. You are not going to win every second and every play of the game, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. What I thought was interesting here is that one of the core fundamental pieces with Gapology is understanding that you as the leader own the results and the behaviors of your team. And it really starts with this, accepting
I
that
love that.
responsibility. It's like it starts with
Yeah,
us. The buck
yeah.
stops here.
That's one of the keys. They own the result,
Yes.
period, and therefore they've accepted responsibility
Yep.
and understand it. So that one was something we were expecting to see, but it was much. it was a much brighter light than it than we could have imagined. It was significant.
Yeah. And I think the one key thing there is that the beauty in accepting the responsibility is that we as leaders then understand that we have the power then to make the change. So if we don't own the responsibility of it, we sort of can put off making that change. We don't own it, someone else owns it. But if we accept that responsibility, we can take action. We really only have control over ourselves, and that's where the power comes from.
Yeah. So, and those that don't accept responsibility don't take the action to overcome it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have to.
Right.
Yeah. Now that's huge. Um, the next one is listening to create value. So different than we expected, the winning leaders listened more than they spoke, and they listened on purpose to create value. When the boss listens to you, it makes you feel important. It makes you feel good. And again, the winning leaders are listening to learn as well, and they're learning from their team. Often, an individual on the team is outperforming the total. So when you go and spend time with them and listen and observe behavior, you can improve the entire team from that. But they did it because it listening increases the engagement of the person speaking, and it's sort of a lost art. Often we think that the leader's the one who's talking all the time. Listening is a key skill. You can learn it. And we found that the bottom performing leaders tended to tell, and the top performing leaders were much better as listeners. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a couple of key things to think about here. What you're describing, and I think it is so important, is that oftentimes leaders need to be students almost before they can become teachers. They need to understand, they need to ask questions, they need to gather that information, process it, interpret it, and then teach, your learnings to the team. That's sort of the first piece. The
Well, I
other,
think hold on there. I
yeah,
think I think they're always students.
yeah, exactly.
They don't ever walk away from that because the world changes.
Right.
And if you're not in a learning mode, a listening mode all the time, you'll miss things. So you'll never know it all. The minute you think you know it all, everything's different. So listening really is a key skill. So thanks for bringing that up the way you said that. They're always students.
Right. Yeah, and I think another sort of benefit of that is that by asking questions, you show your value to your team. You talked about engagement. That does increase engagement because what you're doing there is you're building trust. So when you show that you care about your team members, that you're enough where you're asking them for their opinions and their inputs and you're processing that and you're asking follow-up questions and so forth, that builds a sort of a culture of trust there.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of benefits to
Make
asking before telling.
makes the team feel important.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is creating shared vision. So the winning leaders had a way of tying everyone's role to the vision, to the purpose, and therefore making every role important. We were in a retail world for many, many years, and they would literally make the cashier of great significance, not the lowest level person on the team, of great significance. Think about the cashier. They're interacting with everyone that comes in potentially. And so they really did an incredible job of making every role matter and tying again that role back to the bigger picture and making every role so important. And it played out. We found cashiers that knew more than the managers in some of the bottom performing locations. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of times.
And many of those cashiers became store managers and high level executives because of the behavior of that leader.
Yeah, I know several examples of that. And I do think, and I love what you said there around every role matters. In fact, I just had some conversations just this past week with some leaders and some higher level leaders, and the way that they were sharing, specifically about time, that, well, the executives, they don't have time to do this, whatever. That's just for the lower level people. And I was like, are you kidding? Every role matters. Doesn't matter if you're a cashier or if you're a janitor or if you're sitting in a cubicle entering data or if you're the CEO. Every role matters. Every role needs development. Every role needs, psychological safety created for them. Every role needs trust created for them. And when you can actually create the shared vision where everyone's connected to whatever that core purpose is, that vision, the objectives, whatever in your organization, it brings everybody together, makes everybody matter.
Yeah, well said. Um, the next thing that we found of incredible significance was the winning leaders developed their replacement. The bottom leaders were scared to and not capable,
Yeah.
but so they didn't. The
Mhm.
winning leaders would often have multiple replacements. And by developing their replacement, their results were off the charts. They had so many top performing people in their world. It changed everything. And it drove by having your replacement, it really drove performance and it drove morale. It showed the whole team that, hey, we've got potential here. We could rise to, another level. We could rise to the top. So it really created a growth organization. I remember at one time I had 3 or 4 people on my team that could replace me, and the results were never better than that. And that was why.
Yeah.
And they all did eventually replace me, by the way, hopefully somewhere else, but somewhere across the country in a different, region or whatever.
Right.
But it was key. You've got to
Yeah.
develop your replacement. Don't shy away from it.
Yeah. I think that's a core definition of a winning leader. If you can create other winning leaders,
Yeah,
I mean, that's huge. If you don't, keep things secret and hold things back, and just because you're afraid of, you're losing your role, I think you can actually create an amazing group of other winning leaders that can help excel the organization. And I think as an outcome of that, it's a great reflection on you and your skills overall.
oh, I think we got a T-shirt there.
Yeah.
Great leaders create great leaders.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm writing it down.
Love that. That will sell 1 million of those.
All right, I got it.
It is pretty obvious, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's talked about enough, and it should be part of every leader's evaluation. Have you
Hmm.
created your replacement
Right.
many times over? The
Yeah.
organization, a growth organization needs that. What if you're growing? Where are the great leaders going to come from? We're going to hire them from outside.
Hmm.
It takes time to get to that point. So that's a big one.
Yeah. I like what you said, growth organization. I'm writing that down too, because I think that should be an objective of all leaders. How are you creating a growth organization, even if it's just your work group? Are you
Yeah,
creating a growth organization within your work group? What are you doing? Are you putting in place methods and processes for developing your team?
yeah,
All of those elements.
yeah. I love it. All right, we're on to number 8,
Wow, cooking along
although
here.
they're not numbered. We found the winning leaders had a bias for action. They closed the action gap. So Gapology is all about closing the knowledge gap, the importance gap in order to close the action gap. And they did that. So their team took action. They had a bias for action. And part of it was that they owned it, that they needed to close that gap, but they had a bias for action. That was what they were about, taking action to create great results. And they were able to see that. And again, they didn't say, that isn't my responsibility. They owned it, and therefore they had a bias for action.
Yeah, they were always asking, what can I do? What can I do now? They analyzed the results, looked at the behaviors, and then reflected on that and said, what can I do? And just had that as their core um, sort of driver. They're always looking at, what kind of things can I do differently today? How can I help my team do things differently today, and so forth.
Yeah, it works.
Mhm.
Closing the action gap works. Huh. We should write a book about that.
Amazing, yeah.
The next one is and I don't know if we were expecting this one, but the winning leaders were teachers and learners. So they taught and they learned both. They balanced it out. They weren't just teachers. They realized that their team and others will know things they don't know. So they were constantly learning and teaching and learning and teaching, um, and really always learning. That might be cool, t-shirt wise. Always learning became key. We mentioned earlier they were always listening, and we mentioned earlier they tended to to teach and not tell, but they balanced teaching and learning, and they didn't assume that what they knew was enough. And again, in an ever-changing world like we're in right now, with everything changing in many ways due to AI, teaching and learning is critical. So look at yourself and examine yourself, and are you doing both? Because again, leaders often get caught in, I've got to be the teacher, not understanding they have to be the learner in order to be an effective teacher.
Yeah.
Sorry for talking so much, but that's a big one.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree, and I think the two are connected. Certainly, you have to be that student and learn so that you're able to teach. Um, the key thing I see here as well is that they didn't just do it sort of willy-nilly. They put methods in place, processes in place. They built it into their leadership rhythm for both of these elements. They established in their one-on-ones and their team meetings elements where they were asking questions from the team and learning from the team. And they built into their one-on-ones and their team meetings methods for delivering information and teaching as well. So it wasn't just something that just happened, it was something that was really crafted and constructed right from the beginning.
Yeah, so imagine if you had to write down every week what you taught to your team and what you learned. You know, what if you had to learn new things every week? That would be key. So it's an interesting, it's a difficult one to achieve in some ways because it may be quite different than how you currently operate, but it is of great significance, and it again does affect results, over the long term as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I love that, Mark. I think that's a genius idea. If you're a senior executive, director or above or whatever, and you've got managers, maybe they're emerging leaders or entry-level managers that are working for you, that's a great question to ask them on a weekly basis. What have you learned from your team?
Yeah,
What have you taught your team?
yeah,
That'd be great to kick off a one-on-one meeting with them.
yeah, yeah, and of significance.
Mhm.
The last one is again Gapology in many ways. They identified and they closed performance gaps. So performance gap is a gap between what you expected and what you actually achieved, and it's again generally very behavioral. And they saw it as behavioral, by the way, and they were very good at identifying the gap, not turning their head or blaming somebody else. They identified the gap and they closed the gap. So again, ultimately that's an action gap, but we call it a performance gap because again, it's the gap between what you expected and what you achieved. The goal was $1 million when we came in at 750,000. That's a performance gap. What were the behaviors that equaled that? They looked at their performance through that lens and identify, again, you have to identify the gap in order to close it. So they identified it and they closed it. And that's how we learned gapology, really, from them seeing that behavior.
Yeah, and I think having that as built something that's built into your leadership rhythm as a formal process, and it does tie to that eternal curiosity, that first one that you mentioned, asking the questions: where am I winning? Where am I not winning? And what is producing that? So what are the behaviors? And those performance gaps, those are the gaps in performance, gaps in behavior. And that's what you can affect as a leader. You see the numbers, but you can affect the behaviors that are driving those numbers. So, but you have to understand, you have to have that eternal curiosity to ask the questions. And oftentimes we sort of look at the spreadsheet at the end of the week or the beginning of the week, and we're like, okay, well, we won or we didn't win. And then we don't change anything based on that information. You have to have that eternal curiosity, that bias for action for doing something about it. And that's all I, what you're talking about there as far as identifying and closing performance gaps.
Yeah. So those are the top 10 traits of winning leaders. And we're asking you to go after them. We're expecting that they would be in place in your leadership behavior, in 2026. If they're not, you can get there earlier, depending on where you're at. You may want to evaluate yourself against the 10. Again, they're on page 27 in Gapology 15th anniversary edition, and they are of incredible significance, and you will thank us for calling that out. They will change your results, they will change your world, and they'll change the team around you as well. And they'll be passed on to many others because of you.
Awesome. Well, great job, Mark. If anybody has questions on any of this stuff, feel free to reach out to us. Contact@gapology.org. That's contact@gapology.org. That's our email address to reach out to us. Otherwise, social media, LinkedIn is probably the best way to get hold of us there. But if you need anything, feel free to reach out.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later. All right, that'll do it from here. For more information on Gapology, our books, services, and all of our content, head on over to our website, gapology.org. Everyone have a fantastic week. Talk to you soon.